The Rippa-Verse is here. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the guy who's doing it. But you know what? Even if you don't support it, why do we have to say ugly and vile things about the person? Hey, what's up, nerd fam? This is your boy Gashawn. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, we're talking about the Rippa-Verse. Yes, the brand new comic book universe recently launched by Eric July, aka Young Rippa 59. The pre-orders went out on Monday past. It's about to be Monday now. It's like Sunday night as I'm recording this, and he had some really cool stuff in there. Covers A and B, some posters, T-shirts, and these cool collectible cards, which are great because that means he understands that nerds like me love to collect paraphernalia for anything they like, and the artists did a great job. Obviously, we don't know too much about the story because we just had a little teaser trailer, and no one has read the book. Obviously, save the people who worked on it. So it's not gonna be a review of the book, but really just to kind of talk about a little bit of him and a little bit of the reaction that he's getting, which doesn't seem to be necessary and is a bit hypocritical from who it's coming from. So the first video that I actually saw from him like years ago was why I don't obsess with racism. And it was really cool because as a person who also subscribes to a lot of Malcolm X's thinking about accepting yourself before asking others to accept you is big for me, especially when it comes to accountability, which a lot of people seem to be allergic to nowadays, and being able to control your own circles, control what's happening with you, and not asking others to accept you, right? Like, be cool with your own world. And in that video, he touches on that and a lot more, which make a lot of people very uncomfortable, especially when Malcolm X is simply just characterized as the violent or aggressive version of Martin Luther King, which is a gross mischaracterization, right? But either way, after watching that video, I realized he had a lot of commentary on comic book stuff like that. And I, growing up with comic books, given to me by my stepfather, my uncle, them, giving me all the stuff they had since the 60s, this was great. I'm like, all right, cool. He's got some pretty cool social views, and he's also a nerd, which is nice. So I started reading stuff and looking at the comic book commentary he was coming out with, and he was very critical on how the stories were getting developed, which was really just being centered around like social identity versus the actual personality of these characters and their ability to be able to save people, and the fact that they were kind of villainizing people who were pretty much the readers of the books. Right now, it was kind of cool to see him like transition and go, well, maybe not cool, but maybe jarring, because I definitely related to going into the shops or even reading the comics and being like, they're kind of alienating me. Like, I'm trying to buy this, I'm trying to go in, but it's like they're not really writing these stories for me. Who are they writing for? Now, for him, he stopped supporting them altogether and was still being critical because he was hearing about it, obviously. And eventually, he's like, you know what? I gotta do this myself. And I was listening to that, and I was just hoping that it became a reality, that it wasn't just him talking. And lo and behold, we have what we have coming out right now. Now, me, I might still get some pretty cool variant art and stuff like that, but I really don't buy runs like recent runs. I'm buying a lot of like back stuff. That's about it, really. And I do a lot of indie stuff, things that are not the big two. That stuff is a hell of a lot better, right? And this Rippa-Verse actually falls into that category, even though I have not read it. No one's read it, so we're really just going off of what he says about continuity, how much he actually cares about stories making sense, and about how characters could be way deeper than just being part of whatever social, racial group, right? Like, if you're part of the LGBT, that's cool, but that's not all you are. Just like in life, right? Like, I am obviously of African descent, but that doesn't, that's not my whole entire being. A matter of fact, my racial identity, like, is something that I can't control, right? Like, no one like willed himself into being black, white, or anything like that. So it's really who I am that I really have to offer. I'm the most proud of type of person who I am, and the relationships that I've built, which is cool because these characters could and should be written that way as well. But that's just my opinion, because I also enjoy fully fledged characters. Obviously, sometimes views like this, even though this is not exclusive, this is still inclusive thinking, it's just making it more nuanced. This has ruffled some feathers. Now, a lot of people who consider themselves anti-racist or whatever because of Eric's stance on not having wokeness. And a lot of wokeness is like the super hyper emphasis, like I said, on social identity. This is not going to be that. He said it's going to be apolitical. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be politics, because this government or whatever like that. Obviously, politics have always been in comics, but he doesn't want it to be a one-to-one example of what's happening today, which I respect, because even though stuff like that did happen in comics a while back, they were still more nuanced, but he kind of wants to avoid that and just focus on whatever issues and whatever government is doing in that particular universe, which is fine. But some people are literally just trying to slander them, talking about, oh no, it's going to have all his politics in it. There's actually going to be nothing but white dudes. Mind you, the main character is black, which we're going to get more into in a couple minutes. But the people who are supposed to be anti-racist are literally on Twitter calling him the N-word. It's actually really strange to me to see something like that. I mean, not strange, because honestly, the guys who are very much, unfortunately, like on the left do believe they like kind of own black people and own their thoughts and own their alignment. It is something that you see a lot, specifically even when it comes to these creative spaces. Like, don't you see this? Don't you resonate with him because he looks like you? Like, weird stuff like that. You see it in the comments. Like, when you see him, don't you resonate with him? Like, you both got brown skin. That means he's for you. Like, and it's so crazy when they say it to you, as if this is all I have to offer. This is all I need to resonate with somebody. Like, forgive me for having some depth and maybe wanting to see if I actually have something in common with a human being, whether they look like me or not. But that's part of a lot of the message that Eric says in a lot of his videos. However, a lot of people who do have these criticisms don't ever actually look at all the videos. What they do is they hear the thing they don't like, shut it off, and then write whatever article or whatever response video, and it is what it is. And then he is now the Antichrist to them. And now that his pre-orders have gone to like 2.4 million, which is absolutely wonderful, amazing for us as fans, especially if it is what we believe it to be, and for his family, that's amazing as well. They're literally banning the mention of it on Reddit. It's absolutely nuts. Like, you don't have to support it, but why are you actively trying to attack it too? It doesn't make any sense. And then a lot of them will say, we don't like who's supporting it. So it's not even the content. They haven't read the book yet, but we don't like who's supporting it. This brings me to the second part. That's like, a lot of things I'm talking about are like kind of like left-leaning, the SJW type, that a lot of them happen to be like white, right? But then there's another sinister part, which I even saw today in a lot of these blur groups, where because he's not espousing certain values that they believe are the one that's more accurate to black people, they feel the need to call him a coon or a Sambo, which are racial slurs made for black people. But they feel like it's okay to call him that because he doesn't ideologically agree with them, which is absolutely disgusting. Once again, you don't have to support him, but to destroy him because he doesn't believe in what you believe in, doesn't live the same way, specifically as it pertains to comics. He is an avid person who loves original black characters. I, as a person who grew up reading comics, absolutely knows there are a ton of original black characters. Most people who think there aren't were not even in the comic book shop to see it. Right? It's a lot of people who just look on the internet and follow everyone else's talking points, but there are. And his whole thing is he doesn't believe that, Sam Wilson. This is going to be probably one of the most polarizing ones that people always talk about. Oh, he doesn't like Black Captain America. He's saying a black person shouldn't be. No. What it is we understand Sam Wilson already had an established identity as Falcon. He is one of the OG black characters in Marvel. Why erase all of that and just put him under the moniker Captain America? We know Steve Rogers is Captain America. He has that identity. Sam Wilson has that. And even in the comics, Falcon was great being his partner, not his sidekick, as people like to try and demote Sam Wilson. Now, if Sam Wilson was the original Captain America and Steve Rogers was to try and go into that, the argument would be the same. It's like, why is this happening? Why are you giving this role to this person? It would be different, right? It would still be a sloppy second. And the whole point that Eric makes is, I don't want sloppy seconds, but for some reason, everybody wants a black Batman. They always want a black version of something versus lifting up the original versions, the original characters that already exist. Nobody wants to do that. And a lot of times because they don't even know they exist, or it's just easy. But those things are fleeting. When you make the black versions of characters, it's fleeting. It doesn't really, especially when it's a certain character spent 50 years a certain way. Even if they do the gender swapping thing. Same thing. Are you going to say there's not a whole bunch of women characters out there? You don't really have to gender swap. There's a ton of them. Just take the ones that have not been given the work, put some grit behind them, and there you go. And these are the type of things that he says, but it ruffles feathers because there's actually a dude named Andy McWhirter who talks about like woke religion, meaning like people believe in these views so much that if you say anything against it, they believe you hate them. And that's what's happening right now. They believe this guy, just because he doesn't share the exact same views, even though a lot of things do align with him, he doesn't hate black characters. He just wants the original ones. You want original ones too. So why do you hate him? Because he didn't just criticize, he made his own. That's taking a step further. And now you don't want to support it? Oh, okay, it doesn't mirror everything that you say. Oh, then they say, oh, well, Fox News supports him because they had like an article for it. This Black Sands guy, he's supposedly at first, I guess before Eric, was the #1 black publisher, and started making all these weird Instagram posts about him and calling him a Sambo, all these things like that, calling him a sellout because of the people who support him. Like, that's a very weird logic, because if you think that a lot of things that you like, the people that you don't like don't also support, that's a weird thing. Just judge it by the content. Be consistent. These groups love black characters. He's making a black character. He's making characters from all sides. But the ISOM, the very first title character, is black. And if you look at the trailer, there's other black characters there. What's the issue? I bought all 3 covers and those playing cards because I gotta support. I believe in the vision. He believes in his vision, and I see him. And one thing I do like is he understands the responsibility that he has to keep it consistent. So I'm just waiting and seeing, just like the rest of us, and you know what it is. And honestly, why I'm proud of him is because I'm also creative. I do like more screenplays, and I didn't lose the passion, but I let it go to the back burner. And I see this guy did this. He's making these YouTube videos. He's going on all these things, and he still had time to do this. And I'm like, what's my excuse? I gotta get my stuff going. So in that aspect, thank you. Let me know what you think. Did you pre-order the Rippa-Verse? Do you think that it's okay for you to say whatever the hell it is you want about someone just because you don't agree with them? Or can we just respectfully disagree? Right? Can we just have a conversation? In the end of the day, let me know. Keep supporting comics, whatever comic you like, and enter the nerd.